Very good morning. You're watching the Breakfast News on Rajya Sabha Television. I'm Ashwarya Kapoor with you. Let us start the Breakfast News with the headlines. Will enter their homes and eliminate the terrorists. Prime Minister Modi issues a stern warning, hints at more actions after Balakot airstrike, targets opposition parties for doubting Indian Air Force strike. Tormented by cross-border attacks, Iran threatens to take action against Pakistan-based terrorist groups, questions Islamabad's inability to crack down on terrorists operating from its soil. Electronic surveillance for a 61-kilometer highly porous riverine section of Indo-Bangladesh border in Assam. Home Minister Rajnath Singh to inaugurate a smart fencing project intended to check illegal immigration and smuggling. Supreme Court hearing on Ram Janmabhoomi Babri Masjid land dispute case today. The Apex Court to pass order on referring matter to court-appointed mediator. And Prime Minister Modi to launch a Pradhan Mantri Shram Yogi Man Dhan Yojana in Vastral in Gujarat. Pension scheme to benefit over 10 crore workers in the unorganized sector. On the second day of his visit to Gujarat, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will visit the Annapurna Dham Trust in Gandhinagar, where he will lay the foundation stones of Shikshan Bhavan and Vidyarthi Bhavan. The Prime Minister will then visit Vastral in Ahmedabad to launch Pradhan Mantri Shram Yogi Man Dhan Yojana. PM-SYM is a voluntary and contributory pension scheme for workers in unorganized sector with a monthly income of up to 15,000 rupees. Prime Minister Modi will also oversee the online transfer of benefits to some beneficiaries and then distribute PM-SYM pension cards. The National Pension Scheme for workers of the unorganized sector was announced in the interim budget in February this year. It will provide a monthly pension of 3,000 rupees to the employees of the unorganized sector after 60 years of age. The scheme will benefit 10 crore workers in the unorganized sector. And in a fresh warning to Pakistan, Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Monday said that he believed in barging into the houses of terrorists and killing them. Speaking at a public function in Ahmedabad, he also vowed to find out those responsible for the terror attacks in India, even if they hide in bowels of the earth. PM Modi's comments indicated that last week's airstrike on Jaish-e-Mohammed camp in Pakistan won't be India's last such action against terrorism emanating from the neighboring country. Addressing a gathering, he also asked the opposition not to politicize the issue of strike carried out on terrorist camp in Pakistan by the Indian Air Force and asked them whether or not they trust the country's armed forces.
Video link से
ये हमारा सिद्धांत है, हम घर में घुस के मारेंगे। कोई देश ऐसी असहाय अवस्था में नहीं रह सकता है। 40 साल से आतंकवाद हिंदुस्तान के सीनों में गोलियां दाग रहा है जी। भारत मां की सीने में गोलियां दागी जा रही है, बम धमाके किए जा रहे हैं, निर्दोषों को मारा जा रहा है। लेकिन वोट बैंक की राजनीति में डूबे हुए लोग कदम उठाने से डरते हैं। मुझे सत्ता की कुर्सी की परवाह नहीं है, मुझे चिंता मेरे देश की है। मुझे चिंता मेरे देश की है, मेरे देश के लोगों की सुरक्षा की है। और इसलिए मेहरबानी करके ऐसे मसलों पर राजनीति मत करो। चुन चुन करके हिसाब लेना, ये मेरी फितरत है। कब तक निर्दोष लोगों को मारने देंगे? दोस्तों बताइए मुझे, आपको हमारे देश की सेना पर भरोसा है? उनकी बातों पर भरोसा है? वो जो कहते हैं उस पर आप विश्वास करते हैं? सेना जो कहे उस पर मुझे विश्वास करना चाहिए? सेना जो कहे उसको मुझे मानना चाहिए? लेकिन कुछ लोग हैं जिनको सेना की बात भी पसंद नहीं थी। अरे मोदी की बात मत मानो भाई, मैं नहीं कहता हूं मेरी बात मानो, कम से कम सेना पर तो अविश्वास मत करो।
And on the first day of his Gujarat visit, Prime Minister Narendra Modi also launched several developmental projects on Monday. Here is a look at those projects in this report.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi launched a sharp attack at the opposition parties on Monday for questioning his statement that Rafale would have made a difference to the Indian Air Force during the airstrikes in Pakistan. Addressing a public rally in Jamnagar, Prime Minister Modi said, if India had Rafale aircraft during the recent airstrike on terrorist camps, then none of India's fighter jets would have been lost.
ભાઈઓ બહેનો, આ દેશને ગર્વ થવું જોઈએ કે અમારી સેના તાકાત બતાવે છે સાહેબ. મેં હમણાં એક દિલ્હીમાં મારું ભાષણ હતું. એ ભાષણમાં મેં કહ્યું, દેશ આખો ગર્વ કરે છે, અદ્ભુત પરાક્રમ કર્યું છે, જવાનોએ પરાક્રમ કર્યું છે, અને કોઈ પણ દેશને થવું જોઈએ. એમાં મરદાલની જેમ રોડતા રહેવાની શું જરૂર છે ભાઈ? મેં એમને કહ્યું જો આજે ના અમારા વાયુસેના પાસે રાફેલ હોત તો પરિણામ જુદું હોત. હવે જેમને મારી વાત ના સમજાતી હોય એમાં મારો દોષ ભાઈ?
Prime Minister Modi inaugurated a 750-bed annexee of the Guru Gobind Singh Hospital and the newly built hostel of the hospital. The Prime Minister also flagged off the Bandra Jamnagar Humsafar Express through video link and also laid the foundation stone of Rajkot-Kanaluz railway line doubling project in Jamnagar. The Prime Minister will also hand over keys of 448 houses and 1,008 flats to the beneficiaries constructed by Jamnagar Area Development Authority. Prime Minister Modi also laid the foundation stone for Vishwa Umiya Dham Temple Complex at Jaspur. In Ahmedabad, Prime Minister Modi launched several development projects. He inaugurated the first phase of the Ahmedabad Metro and laid the foundation stone for the second phase. He also took a ride in the Ahmedabad Metro along with Union Urban Development Minister Hardeep Puri, Gujarat Chief Minister Vijay Rupani and Deputy Chief Minister Nitin Bhai Patel.
मेट्रो अहमदाबाद वासियों का बहुत बड़ा सपना वो आज हकीकत में बदल गया। साथियों, पहले चरण पर तो मेट्रो चल पड़ी है, दूसरे चरण का शिलान्यास भी आज हो गया है। एक काम खत्म और दूसरे पर काम शुरू, ये भी हमारी सरकार की और एक विशेषता है। एक हो जाए तो हम सोते नहीं हैं, दूसरे के लिए तैयारी करते हैं।
Prime Minister Modi also distributed golden cards to select beneficiaries of the Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana Ayushman Bharat scheme. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Meanwhile, amid questions and claims about the number of terrorists killed in the Balakot airstrike, Air Chief Marshal B.S. Dhanoa said on Monday that it is for the government to make a statement in this regard. He said that the Indian Air Force warplanes did hit their intended targets in Balakot, which was proved by the fact that Pakistan responded to the strike.
In his first comment since India's preemptive airstrikes on a Jaish-e-Mohammed camp in Balakot, Indian Air Force Chief B.S. Dhanoa has declined to respond on the death toll in the strike. He said it was for the government to provide details on the number of terrorists killed.
What was our target and did we hit our target, sir?
The target has been clearly amplified by the Foreign Secretary in his statement.
Yeah.
And of course, if he planned to hit the target, we hit the target. Otherwise, why would he have responded?
ANI, please.
If he had dropped bombs in the jungle, there's no need for him to respond. That statement will be made by the government. No, I mean, Air Force is not in a position to clarify that how many people were inside it, that we don't count human casualties. We count what targets have we hit or not hit.
Time 7 there, please.
The bomb damage assessment that is done post a mission calculates the number of the target you've been hit or you've not been able to hit. We can't count how many people have died. That depends on how many people were there.
The air chief also confirmed that Pakistan used F-16 aircraft during the 27th February offensive against India.
If the end user agreement was that they will not use it for offensive purposes, then I think they have violated that end user agreement. Because we have got pieces of the AMRAAM missile in our territory, which we displayed. And obviously, I think they have lost an F-16 aircraft in that combat. So obviously they have been using the aircraft against us.
Addressing a press conference in Tamil Nadu's Coimbatore, Dhanoa defended the MiG-21 Bison aircraft, calling it a capable jet that has been upgraded.
MiG-21 Bison is capable. It has been upgraded. It is not the old MiG-21 BIS. It's got a better weapon system. It's got better radars, better air-to-air missiles, radar warning receivers, shaft flares, whatever it takes to make it, from third generation to 3.5 generation or so. So it is an upgraded aircraft, and we fight with all the aircraft in our inventory.
Yeah,
and remember, the initiative is with the adversary.
Responding to queries on Wing Commander Abhinandan Vartman, who was captured by Pakistan on 27th February and released on the 1st of March, Dhanoa said Vartman would fly a fighter jet if he was fit.
Whether he flies again or no depends on his medical fitness. That's why post ejection he has undergone a medical check. Thereafter, if required, whatever treatment is required will be given to him. Once he gets his medical fitness, and then only will he get into a fighter cockpit. No, medical examination and debriefing after that depends on his fitness. If he is fit to fly a fighter, then he'll go back to a squadron. If he is not fit to fly a fighter, then he'll become a low medical category till the time he gets his currency. And then he'll go back when he gets his fighter currency back.
12 Indian Air Force Mirage 2000 jets crossed the line of control last week and destroyed terror camps of Pakistan-based Jaish-e-Mohammed in Balakot. The airstrike came 2 weeks after the Pulwama attack. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And after India's strike on a camp of terrorist outfit at Jaish-e-Mohammed in Balakot, Iran also has threatened to take action against Pakistan-based terrorist groups. General Qasem Soleimani, commander of Iran's Quds Force, has issued a stern warning to Imran Khan-led Pakistan government and its military establishment. General Soleimani was quoted as saying that Pakistani government, where are you heading to? You have caused unrest along borders with all your neighbors, and do you have any other neighbor left that you want to stir insecurity for? He further went on to ask Pakistan how, despite having atomic bombs, is Islamabad unable to destroy a terrorist group with several hundred members in the region. He added that Pakistan should not test Iran's resolve. It is noteworthy that in recent years, India and Iran have enhanced their counter-terrorism cooperation speedily. Foreign Secretary Vijay Gokhale was scheduled to travel to Iran over the weekend. However, the trip was postponed amid India-Pakistan crisis. And on to the other big story this morning. In a bid to check illegal immigration and smuggling of arms, ammunition, drugs and cattle, the Union Home Ministry will put a highly porous riverine section of the Indo-Bangladesh border in Assam under electronic surveillance. The smart fencing will be operationalized in the 61-kilometer riverine section of the international border in Dhubri district of Assam, where the Brahmaputra River enters into Bangladesh. The project, Border Electronically Dominated ORT Interception Technique, under the Comprehensive Integrated Border Management System, will be inaugurated by Home Minister Rajnath Singh today. It will cover the India-Bangladesh border in the area which consists of sand islands and innumerable river channels, which makes the border guarding a daunting task, especially during the rainy season. The entire span of the Brahmaputra has been covered with the data network generated by microwave communication, OFC cables, DMR communication, day and night surveillance cameras and intrusion detection system. And the five-judge Constitution Bench of the Supreme Court is expected to pass an order today on whether or not an attempt a court-monitored mediation in the decades-old Babri Masjid Ram Janmabhoomi title suit. The Constitution Bench had last week indicated its desire for attempting mediation under the supervision of the Supreme Court to resolve the land dispute between the claimants. It said that even if a 1% chance of mediation exists in the land dispute matter, it should be done. 14 appeals have been filed in the apex court against the 2010 Allahabad High Court judgment delivered in 4 civil suits that the 2.77-acre land in Ayodhya be partitioned equally among the 3 parties, namely the Sunni Waqf Board, the Nirmohi Akhara and Ramlalla. In Breakfast News, we'll take a very short break. News and updates continue on the other side. Stay tuned.
Delhi for centuries has nurtured many kingdoms and rulers. These kingdoms have left us several significant monuments with an incredible history to tell. Among these monuments is one which is in the midst of posh bungalows in Hauz Khas area, the Chor Minar. Built under the rule of Alauddin Khilji, telling a statement of his rule, is believed to have stood out as a deterrent for thieves and thugs who attempted to venture in his kingdom. Built in 13th century, the pillar is made of rubble masonry and stands at the center of a platform. Each of the 4 sides of the platform has 3 arched recesses with a doorway on one side leading to a spiral staircase. The pillar, also believed to be known as the Tower of Thieves, was used to display the severed heads of the thieves and thugs through its 225 holes.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi will kickstart BJP's poll campaign in Madhya Pradesh with the Vijay Sankalp rally today. BJP workers, mainly from tribal-dominated Dhar and Ratlam Jhabua Lok Sabha seats, will take part in the rally. The Prime Minister was scheduled to address rallies at Atarsi and Dhar in February, but it was cancelled in the wake of the 14th of February Pulwama terror attack. And BJP President Amit Shah will kickstart the party's election campaign in Jharkhand from Goda, attending the Shakti Kendra Sammelan today. He is slated to address over 14,000 party workers there. Senior party cadres from panchayats, blocks, districts or of Santhal Pargana have been invited at the Shakti Kendra Sammelan. The Goda visit of Shah gains importance as earlier on 2 occasions his visit was postponed. All the senior leaders from the state, including Chief Minister Raghubar Das, State BJP President Lakshman Gilua and the Ministers of State Cabinet and MPs and MLAs from Santhal Pargana are slated to attend the Sammelan. And the Election Commission team, led by Chief Election Commissioner Sunil Arora, is on a 2-day visit to Jammu and Kashmir to review poll preparedness in the view of Lok Sabha elections. The team arrived in the winter capital of the state, Jammu, on Monday evening after holding marathon meetings with the political parties and civil and police authorities in Srinagar. The team will meet the representatives of various political parties and hold meetings with the Chief Secretary and the Director General of J&K Police separately. On to some other news. Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu is on a 8-day, 2-nation visit to Paraguay and Costa Rica to strengthen bilateral ties with the 2 Latin American countries. En route to Paraguay and Costa Rica, M. Venkaiah Naidu arrived in Spain's capital Madrid today and he was warmly received by the Indian ambassador to Spain, Sanjay Verma. This will be the first ever visit of an Indian vice president to the Republic of Paraguay. India and Paraguay traditionally share warm and friendly ties. Trade is one of the main drivers of relationship with Paraguay. The bilateral trade has increased almost tenfold over the last 10 years with that nation. Defence Minister Nirmala Sitharaman on Monday said that the Narendra Modi government has been able to resolve vexed issues related to the welfare of armed forces because it believes in real action rather than mere tokenism. Addressing ex-servicemen and family members of soldiers who had been martyred fighting for the country in Dehradun, Defence Minister said that OROP was a huge task which was accomplished despite all odds in 2 years. She informed the gathering that all the arrears under OROP have been paid in 4 installments. The Defence Minister also said that coming to Uttarakhand is always a great experience for her, as it is the land of brave soldiers who do not hesitate to lie down their lives for the sake of their country. The Defence Minister also honoured 15 wives and mothers of deceased soldiers. She also laid the foundation stone of a drinking water project in Clement Town. And President Ramnath Kovind attended the 25th Mahashivratri celebrations at the Isha Yoga Kendra as a chief guest in Coimbatore in Tamil Nadu yesterday. President Kovind, along with Isha Foundation founder Jaggi Vasudev, planted saplings to pay homage to the martyrs of the Pulwama attack. The President also visited the Dhyan Ling, the Ling Bhairavi Devi, as well as Surya Kund, an energized water body that can enhance one's receptivity. He then proceeded to Adi Yogi, where the cultural event began. Adi Yogi is a 112 feet tall bust of Lord Shiv, which was unveiled by Prime Minister Narendra Modi in 2017 as a part of the Shivratri celebrations.
Legends say that Adi Yoga stayed here for some time. I had the privilege to visit Kailash Mansarovar in 2006, and today I am in the presence of the Kailash of the South. Personally, the visit here today completes a spiritual cycle for me. I am experiencing the very same feelings that I had experienced on myself when I visited Kailash Mansarovar. This event that Sadhguru has conceived is an opportunity to experience the grace of Mahashivratri. There is another connection that comes to mind. It is believed that Lord Shiva helped bring the mighty Ganga to us, and Sadhguru has been among those who are rallying to rejuvenate our rivers.
Our top international focus, the Russian President Vladimir Putin has signed a decree suspending Moscow's participation in a key Cold War-era nuclear arms control treaty following a similar move by the United States. In a statement on Monday, the Kremlin said that the suspension would last until the US ends its violations of the treaty or until it terminates. In February, Washington gave notice of its intention to withdraw from the landmark 1987 Intermediate Range Nuclear Forces Treaty, or the INF, which was established as a major safeguard against nuclear war. The move by US President Donald Trump set the stage for the bilateral pact's termination in 6 months. Washington accuses Moscow of developing and deploying a cruise missile that violates the provisions of the treaty. The treaty bans the production, testing and deployment of land-based cruise and ballistic missiles that have a range between 500 and 5,500 kilometers. Sports news, India will take on Australia in the second ODI at Nagpur today, and India hopes to build on their 1-0 lead in the 5-match series. Australia, on the other hand, will try to draw level after the loss in the series opener. All-rounder Vijay Shankar, who has had a decent outings, might get another game before Rishabh Pant and Bhuvneshwar Kumar join the squad for the remaining 3 ODIs. Following the Nagpur ODI, the Indian selectors will be left with 3 ODIs to experiment the playing 11 ahead of the Cricket World Cup that begins on 30th of May. And with that, we wrap up this edition of Breakfast News. Thanks for watching. Have a great day ahead.